Hey y'all, it's your girl Toyia T. And this evening we have a great show in store for you. Today's episode was sponsored by Leafy Products, the first Black-owned bamboo toilet paper here in the state of Ohio. I just want to say that this show has been such a long time coming. My producer and I had talked about just the need to have almost like a PR campaign for Black men because we criminalize our Black men so early on that sometimes people over the criminalization overshadows all the great things that our Black men have achieved. So, with that, I want to welcome in my guests and allow us to talk about Black men leading too. So, with that, we have Roy Sutton from Fifth Third Bank and Frank Hall here from Frank. What is the name of your company?
Facility Maintenance and Services Group.
Facility Maintenance and Services. I always remember the acronym. So I want to welcome you
Definitely.
guys in this evening and give you a chance to just do a brief introduction of who you are, and we'll go in a little more detail as we go throughout the show. But Frank, if you could just do a brief introduction.
Sure. My name is Frank Hall. I'm out of Lexington, Kentucky. My business is Facility Maintenance and Services Group. We travel all over the U.S. We do post-construction cleanup. We even do it in Ohio. Also, we do supply maintenance. We do maintenance and janitorial for Toyota Motors and Manufacturing, where they make the Camry, the Avalon, the Lexus. We do their maintenance and janitorial. We keep the place looking good, and we have over 60, I think it's 68, 69 employees currently, and our contract is going to go up by another 26 or 27 people by the end of March. That's when they terms take change over. But outside of that, we travel. We work for a construction company, the biggest construction company, and we travel anywhere from Texas, Alabama, throughout the area. So that's just a little bit of what I do. Yes,
We are glad to have you. And you're originally from New York, right, Frank?
originally from New York City. Yes, but I love this area because it's the cost of living is. I love that.
Oh, I'm sure, I'm sure. Well, we're looking forward to hearing your story.
Sure.
Royce, if you could do a brief introduction as well.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Toya, for allowing this forum to be an opportunity for me to share a few things this evening. But I work for Fifth Third Bank. I'm a senior vice president. I lead all of our community impact initiatives with Fifth Third Bank, which are special projects. I work directly with partnerships with nonprofit organizations, small businesses, affordable housing concerns, municipal and government entities in our market. As well, I lead all of the work that we do around philanthropy, and then just focus on how we can create better communities across our footprint.
Okay.
So in my time here in Cincinnati, I've had a great time to really learn, understand, and what it means to have an impact in this space.
Well, we're glad to have you. Royce, where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Indiana. Evansville, Indiana is where I'm originally from.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to hearing about New York City and Evansville, Indiana, some of the stories of you guys growing up and how you became leaders, because we all can learn from somebody else's story. So I want to start by asking you guys to tell us a little bit about what you think makes a good leader. What makes a great leader, and did you have any role models, specifically role models that looked like you as you were growing up?
I think you can pull role models from a lot of places. And I can't say that there's any one person that I would call a role model, because there were many people that came and inspired me in different ways for different purposes in my life. And in my formative years, I really looked up to my grandparents, my grandfather. I think he may have had a first grade education. My grandmother, maybe a third grade education, but they were two of the most brilliant people that I've ever known that could ever meet. I mean, my grandfather, he was a business owner. He had two businesses he'd run all at the same time. He was very skilled at being able to market and really pick up on things. And here's someone with very limited education skills, but yet still he could fix nearly any automobile that you would bring him with all of the technology and things like that. He just could get that done. I admired that. I would just watch him in his place doing his thing. And my grandmother just was an absolutely phenomenal cook and seamstress, and it just really could do anything that she would put her hands on. And so I just really admired them. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents and when I was younger, and I just really admired and just really enjoyed being around them and seeing how they even interacted with one another. And that really impacted me around really thinking about, just how you take your gifts and skills and put them to work. Now, my parents, obviously had a great deal of influence on me as well. And then members of my church were extremely influential in really guiding me and really giving me opportunities to be a leader, giving me an opportunity to really think about what leadership means. Because, for me, I was actually a very shy person. I was the last person who ever wanted to lead anything, didn't want to speak up. And you really didn't want to put me on any stage. That would be a big mistake. So it's those things that, as you start out, there's things that come to the fore. And my teachers, some of them were really instrumental. But I just really wasn't the guy that really did much on the talking side and wasn't going to raise my hand to really lead anything. I was a watcher.
Okay. So you had to get your voice to figure out that you could be a leader, or was there a moment in time that you felt like made you step out of the...
I can, I have siblings who are real big personalities, gregarious, and here I was more the shy one. My siblings very talented in what they did. I'm like, okay, now what's my thing? I don't do anything. What's my gift? What's my skill? And for me, the point where I recognized that I did have the ability and a gift and a skill that could be shared and would allow me to lead. I had a teacher in high school. He thought that I ought to run for class speaker at our commencement. Now, granted, I'm someone, I was, involved in a few things, never really led anything. I was involved in sports and really excelled in sports. And this teacher felt like I ought to put my name in the hat. And the way it worked was your class would vote on who they wanted to be the class speaker at graduation. And there were only going to be 4. And I had 419 people in my graduating class. I was like, if you think I can do this, I'll just put my name in. I'm like, I'm not going to win this. And I actually won and actually became a speaker. And it was that moment where I recognized, you know what? I do have something that maybe other people recognize, maybe that I'm not seeing. And then to get up and actually deliver a speech at our graduation for someone who naturally did not speak, that was like a seminal moment for me. Right. It really set the stage for a number of other things that happened along the way. So if you meet anyone who knew me as a youngster and they know the person that I was, it is quite a shock and a surprise for them to see me in the roles and the things that I do now. I public speak all over the place, do things in that arena, have no problems with it. It comes very natural for me. But yeah, anyone who knew me back then was like, oh, that's not the guy.
Right. No, he's not doing that. Well, what about you, Frank? Were you the quiet guy as well, or did you always kind of come out loud, proud?
Yes, I was quiet, as Roy said. I was quiet myself, and my role model was the guys in the streets. But they will always see the thing because my role model. I learned later. My role model, what keeps coming back to me, was my mother. My mother raised 7 kids. It was 8 of us counting her in a 1-bedroom apartment in New York. And before we move to a better place, which is in the projects. But the other goal was to keep us out of the streets. She was a welfare recipient, food stamps, and if what she couldn't afford, we couldn't get. So I would hang with the street guys to try to get the things that I need. But I didn't feel comfortable with it because, so yeah, I was quiet but sneaky as well. And after I got older and learned that, and the more and more I see what big of a role model my mother was for me, because the guys I was hanging around with, they wasn't role model material. For the streets, they were good, but not for what I thought I'd be destined to do. So I kept going. I went to the military. How I became a leader is when I went to the military, and I took a lot of orders. People tell me what to do. So I think in order to be a good leader, you first have to be a good follower. You have to understand, that when somebody say do this and do it that way and do it like this, right? You have to understand that, and then you have to go out and perform at that level. I was never that. I didn't like taking orders, so I guess that's why I got kicked out of the military. And my last job that I had was in the military, and then before that I was a messenger in New York. I rode bikes delivering packages. But later, as I got older, and I'm still learning today, I developed my own business, took it from pretty much nothing to a multi-million-dollar business. I do business all over the U.S., not only with Toyota, but we travel all over, and also got some new projects that I'm working on. And
was there a point, Frank, that you feel like you stepped into the limelight of being a leader? Was there a moment in time that caused you to, think,
yeah,
you know what, I can't step up to be a leader. I
yeah,
shouldn't leave this for someone else.
yeah. No, the point was when I started hearing it from people coming to me, saying, older and younger, coming to me and saying, you changed my life, and you did this and you did that. I'm like, wow, I didn't know, because I don't, yeah, it came to me, I say probably about maybe like 15 years ago. I was destined to be a leader, especially conducting my business, being self-employed. Every decision I make not only affects me, but it affects other family and people that work for me. So when you can say, hey, call somebody, can you do this? Oh, yeah, I do. I get it done for you. A person who doesn't have good character, who doesn't possess leadership ability, when they see you calling you, they won't even answer. I call somebody now, not only do they answer, but if they miss it, I'm so sorry I missed your call. What you need, So just listening and paying attention, and learning from stuff like that, let me know that, what my leadership skills are.
Mhm.
But also still have work to do on that. I think right now I'm in the phase of my legacy part, trying to build and leave a legacy. But even as a African American male, I can make 10 million. It's still no money compared to the people who's from our majority community, or our white counterpart. Because it's good money to other people who look like me, but to them it's still pennies, and it's crumbs. But I take those crumbs and make some good bread with it, what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, so I'm used to being in the role that I play, and being in the position that I am. And each year, I compare, okay, what was I doing? Like, this was a new year. How did I do last year? Not only financially, but from a character perspective. My mother, I learned from my mother. My mother, she was a welfare recipient. She didn't get her high school diploma until everybody had graduated and left home. When she was 50, and she went back to school and got her high school diploma. And when she called and told me, it's just, I just got quiet because I was in tears. I like, wow, she put her life on hold for her kids. But that's what mothers do.
Yeah.
Uh, so that right there, she was a great influence in my life. My father, my father was a good man, but when you talk about great leadership, great a person who's in a role as a leader don't necessarily have to be a rich person. They can
Right.
have strong advice. They can their character, their morals, and everything is good. So I grew up.
Frank.
Yes, sir.
Frank, when you talk about just being a good person, and I think we would all agree about this, and the people we do business with, we interact with, that it's there's something to be said for integrity,
That's right.
and that is so important as we think about this idea of what you hear commonly, in different places where people think that you can just do anything any kind of way, just go out and make the money, just go
Mhm.
out and figure out how and who is hurt later on,
Mhm.
just go ahead and think about riches. If you don't really think about this idea of what it means to do things the right way, you will always be compromised, because there's always somebody looking for a shortcut.
That's
Mhm.
right.
And so that this idea of understanding, if you want to be a leader and get people to really think about you and respect you in the long run, start out with integrity at the beginning, have integrity in the middle, and integrity at the end, and opportunities will come flying your way. People will think about you. People will begin to understand that you're doing things at a certain standard, and that
Mhm.
standard is built upon whatever it is that grounds your life. And so you're not going to look to try to get over on somebody. You're not going to look to try to take advantage of weaknesses, and you're not going to look at trying to do things in a halfway. You want to put your very best out there on the table, because a reflection of who you are.
That's
And
right.
so as a leader, when you're trying to bring other people along, if you are compromised in your level of integrity, they likewise will follow in your
Mhm.
footsteps.
I agree a
One thing
hundred. I
that you
agree
guys
100%.
One thing that you both mentioned is the idea of someone else identifying you as a leader, showcasing what they saw and maybe even seeing it before you saw it yourselves. Um, can you guys talk a little bit about that? Like, is that something that is specific to Black men that you kind of have to be validated by another group of people, or um, does the
I,
world give you the sense that you can't? Like, I
I,
want to really hear you guys' perspective when it
I
comes to
think,
that.
especially in the African American experience, oftentimes we don't get the level of boost and encouragement to think broader and deeper in places and spaces. So the level of our skill and our ability oftentimes it oftentimes is under the radar. And yeah, we may have a person who says something encouraging to us, but do we have people who will then take us and put us in positions that we aren't even qualified for, so that we can learn and experience what it's like to even build those skills, those requisite skills. Oftentimes, because of maybe our own the environments that we're in, or the places that where we come from, there's this idea that you can only do so much, and if you do more than that, then you are exceeding those that are around you, and that's viewed not in a very positive light. And so for many of us, we really do have to work on our sense of confidence, and we have to build up confidence in others.
Mhm.
So that I don't think it oftentimes is a. I think it's maybe implied, but not necessarily taught, and that's something that we have to really focus on, is how we can build stronger will and desire, by pushing and pushing and pushing each other into spaces where we can do things that are special. So yeah, I think you're right. When I got into banking, I didn't know anybody who was a banker. No one in my family was a banker. It was someone who thought I could be a banker that allowed me to get into this space. Should that have come from somebody else, or should that have been something that should have come right directly in my circle? I didn't even know. I thought if a person wore a suit, they were going to church. I didn't realize you wore suits going to work. Who does that?
Right.
You go to work, you go put on work clothes, boots, and it's
It's gonna
that.
be a physical labor
Yeah,
involved.
it's exposure.
Yeah.
It's exposure that we oftentimes lack, and that now that we are in these positions of privilege, we have a responsibility to provide exposure to others.
Absolutely. I think it's really important that if you are given, like I said, too much is given, much is required, right? And so if you're given that platform, you do have a certain responsibility to reach back and see it in somebody else like someone saw it in you. Because if you've never been down that road, it's hard for you to lead anybody else. But if you've already taken those steps, then you're in a better position to help somebody else go down that road. Were you going to say something, Frank?
Yeah, I was gonna agree with Ross. I think mentioning the suit, and I applaud him with his position at Fifth Third Bank. We have brothers that go to jail, get out 10 years later, and they'll be celebrated by our community. Not everybody, but some of our community more as, oh, you did 10 years, that's a pat on the back, whatever, more than what Ross is achieving at Fifth Third Bank. It's tough in corporate America trying to move up to the position. So I applaud him for where he at and wearing this. So I love it. I suit up with my boots, and I can wear a suit, but I travel all over the U.S. and a lot of out of and foreign lands as well, because my business opportunity has afforded me to do that. And but what Ross is doing, and a lot of us, they oh, he got to wear a suit, or he think he better, or he's a sellout, or whatever. Nah, he's in a position that's hard work. He catch you harder than more of us that don't have to put on a suit, because a lot of times, you come in a position and they don't think, okay, he don't deserve. He wants. They think, our white colleagues think that they put on that they need that position. They supposed to be that we can't think, we can't do well. But I bet he proved a lot of people wrong in a position and to be promoted and elevated to where he is. So I applaud him for that. I think that's great. I admire it. I love it. And it's need to be celebrated and recognized. And
Absolutely.
everybody that see him and where he is, because one thing I know is not a lot of us in the position that he's in. When he get in those high circles, he ain't gonna see a lot of us in those circles.
Right.
I know that.
Yeah,
And
the
you
air
have to
can
learn.
be a little thin. It can be a little thin, but you know
Right.
what? I think we're built for. When you look at our history, you look at our lineage, and what our folks have been through. Even on my worst day, it doesn't even compare to what my ancestors had to go through. And it does not compare to what they had to sacrifice. It can be tough in an environment where you're the only one.
Right.
It can be tough in an environment where you're looked, and the expectations may be unrealistic in places. But so that degree of responsibility that we have to our ancestors. I met my birth father for the first time when I was 47 years old. And so the person that I called dad, my stepdad, he never missed a day of work, with the exception he sprained his ankle playing softball in a softball league, and he still tried to limp to work with that. And so I just, to understand what that means to every single day, never miss a day of work in your work career. So in my work career, I try to emulate and model that level of dedication in what I do, because what I saw in him. So I've never missed a day of work, with the exception of the birth of my kids, and I got strep throat once. Other than that, I've never missed a day of work. Now my sister probably thinks I was a little crazy. Like, you need to take those sick days. Yeah, you earn those.
But you made a good point, Royce. I always talk about nature versus nurture, right? It's like we're grown up and we are inherently who we are from our genes, but the people that we're around have a strong influence on how we're brought up and the things that we watch them do and how we emulate what they do to be successful in whatever it is that we have going on. So I'd like to talk a little bit about those past experiences that may have shaped or molded you and transformed your lives into the lives that you have today. Um, whether it be watching, a hard worker, somebody go to work every day, making sure they're not missing. And then Frank, whether it be, watching your mom grow up and have to, feed 7 people along with herself in a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. So really think about how can you leverage those past experiences. They may have been adversity and they may have been areas where you learned, but how can you leverage them to transform life, and how can other people do the same?
Well, I think good or bad, whether things, misfortune, when you think things ain't going right, bad things that happen to good people. But to me, it's all a blessing. So I learned that my mother's sacrifice and what she did was to make me better. But it's up to me to learn that even though I feel so bad that she had to go through that, and even our ancestors they put their lives on the line, whether it's for us to vote or to get an education or to move up in the workplace, it's those sacrifice was meant to uplift us. Mistakes is meant to make you better. It's not meant to destroy you. It's meant to make you better. And you're supposed to learn from your mistakes. You're supposed to learn from the things that you see as misfortune or mishaps or things that's just not right. It's not meant to destroy you. It's meant to make you better. So when I see stuff like that, and to keep from being like tore up about it, I learn what can I learn? What can I learn from my mistakes? How can I make how can I make I had a good day, but how can I make it better tomorrow? All those things a step a 1,000-mile journey began with your first step. But then you got to take a second step and a third step. And not all those steps going to be perfect. Some of those steps you're going to slip. Some of those steps you're going to fall on. And sometimes you get a good bounce. You can skip a step and go up. So everything is just meant. It's still a step to get to that utopia where you're trying to reach. You just have to take the bumps and the bruises, and then you gotta get up and keep going. So the misfortune and mishap, I'm pretty sure, if I start going backwards, if I go to the streets or start doing drugs or become unmanageable with my life, and that when I fell, and that's when I became a disappointment to my mother and all the things that she went through and things I'm supposed to learn from.
Right.
And I started going that direction at one point in my life. And then I realized, I had to brush myself off and get up and do the right thing. Never been not with the drugs or nothing like that, but just life experiences. It's meant to make us better.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, we appreciate you sharing your story, Frank. Royce, do you have any final words?
I'd say that when we think about if those of us who want to be a leader, if you want to be a leader, and Frank touched on this, learn how to listen, learn how to be a learner, always be a student, picking up something. I've got books I'm constantly reading, usually 1 or 2 at a time, but always be willing to learn. And then when you have positioned yourself where you actually are leading, know when it's time to leave. There is a point where every one of our skill sets, the things that we're doing, it's time to move to the next phase. And sometimes we don't accept that dynamic, that it's time for us to move to something different. And so what we've been taught, things that have happened along the way, they happen for a reason. Every job that you have leads you to skills that you can use in your next job.
Yep.
Every opportunity that comes your way, it wasn't an accident. Take that opportunity and be thankful for the opportunity that you have, and bring people along the way. Give credit to people in the room who helped you, so that you don't come off as greedy, selfish, and that you're a self-made man. All of us are the virtue, and we are here because some people invested in us. Some people thought highly of us. They did a favor for us, did something unexpected, and we should show appreciation for that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to have you both give your contact information on LinkedIn, and then we're going to thank our sponsors.
All right. So I don't have my LinkedIn information memorized, but I'm the only Roy Sutton out there. Just hit me up on LinkedIn. Be more than happy to conversate with you. If there's questions you may have about my path or things that you can do to become a more effective leader, we're more than happy to share.
Frank?
Yes, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. Is Frank Hall my name? LinkedIn. That's a great way to reach me, and love to hear from anybody who's interested and may feel like there's need to discuss anything.
All right. Well, we
Based on
appreciate
what
you
we
guys
talked about.
sharing your perspective tonight. And hopefully we were able to give some resources to folks that may be listening and want to be a better leader. With that, I'm going to go ahead and thank our sponsors.
Today's episode of The Plug is sponsored by the following companies. At the platinum level, we have Leafy Products. Leafy Products is the first Black-owned sustainable toilet paper company in Ohio. Do your part to go green and stay clean. Purchase today at getleafyproducts.com. At the gold level, we have Alpha Wolf Aerials. Alpha Wolf Aerials offers unparalleled aerial photography, videography, inspection, and search and rescue services. Elevate your perspective with their cutting-edge technology and commitment to excellence, ensuring high-quality results for all your aerial needs. Connect with them on Instagram at alpha_wolf_aerials and discover the difference with Alpha Wolf Aerials, mastering the sky, leading the pack. At the silver level, we have Paul Glenn. Contact Paul Glenn with Fourth World Capital for all your real estate and investment needs. He is your one-stop for everything real estate. Buy, sell, wholesale, flip, or project management. Paul has you covered. Call him at 513-617-9679. Also at the silver level, we have Testament Tees. Testament Tees seamlessly fuses contemporary style with timeless wisdom, offering high-quality garments that embody God's inspiration and humor through intricate designs and thought-provoking slogans. Empower your wardrobe with values and laughter. Testament Tees, where style meets spirit. For more information or to place an order, go to testamenttees.redbubble.com. Last but certainly not least, at the bronze level, we have Alabama Q. Alabama Q, a soul food barbecue restaurant where everything is made on site. Family, veteran-owned and operated, located in Cincinnati, Ohio at 2733 Short Vine Street. To learn more, follow them on Instagram at Alabama Q, QUE. The Plug thanks all of our sponsors for helping us keep you connected.